Hi, everyone, and welcome to AB Conversations, where we will help you CFP your way out of it. A podcast where you get into the minds of a couple certified financial planners on how we think and feel about everyday financial planning questions and what should really matter most to you. A healthier financial life starts now. Welcome back, everybody. AB Conversations, episode number
40-something.
40-something. Hi, Adam. Welcome to the 40-something podcast of AB Conversations.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
It's been like a year. We've been doing this for almost a year, which is kind of crazy to think about. I hope people see us having a lot of fun doing this because it has been a lot of fun. And hopefully people are learning something. So
yeah, we've certainly gotten that feedback. We had maybe I already said this on one of our past podcasts. He said, "You guys are having way too much fun."
Yeah,
and I said, "Well, we are, and I'm glad you see that, and I hope you get something out of it besides that."
Yeah, it comes from a place of passion, which is maybe an okay way to start today's podcast because we're going to totally self-indulge here and talk about something that isn't really specific to financial planning clients. It is more, I think, talking about our passion for the industry and where we kind of see things going. So we're going to tee this up in a way that focuses on more long-term, 5, maybe even 10 years from now.
Yeah.
How do we think this industry? How do we think the art of financial planning, the thing we love, how do we see it changing in a way that maybe consumers could start to recognize right now, or maybe start to prepare them for how a relationship may change if they aren't working with somebody that kind of see things the way that we do.
Yeah. So yeah, I was going to say, so some of these things may have already started. They just aren't necessarily mainstream yet. And I think that our hope is that a lot of these things will become more ubiquitous in the years to come. And maybe it was on my, word of the day calendar. So I had to throw it.
Good for you.
Yeah. So that I completely lost my train of thought now. I don't remember.
Some of these things definitely are trends, and we'll kind of hit on that. I think we should probably start with something that it's the title of the podcast. We are certified financial planners. I will say I think it's very highly likely that the ratio between financial advisors and certified financial planners is going to flip. Today there are about 270,000 licensed financial advisors, and all that means is they can sell you an investment.
Yeah.
There are about 90,000 certified financial planners, so a third.
Yeah.
We'll say I think that's awesome. I think that's great. I think if we look back just 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it would have been nowhere close to a third.
Right. Yeah, I make up one of those, the increases over the last 5 years.
Yes, which is a great thing.
And that will continue. I think that's one of those things that we hope kind of becomes the standard, and it is happening in other countries. I believe like Australia and the UK are very much on that forefront of being advice first, investment second. And I think slowly the US is catching up to kind of that trend. And we pitch it all the time, right? Investments are merely a portion of someone's overall financial planning picture. So our hope is that will continue, and that it will kind of be the standard that when you go to work with someone, even if you're just looking for investments, you are going to have to work with somebody who is going to want to talk about your entire picture so that the investments actually fit into everything that you're trying to do, and not just, the ad hoc advice.
Yeah. Of course, that I couldn't agree with you more. This is something that we pound the table on, not only for our own clients, why we think it's so important to be certified financial planners, but clearly this podcast is kind of built on that. Let's talk about things that really matter in people's life and goal orientation. So I think for us to boldly say there'll be more CFPs maybe than even financial advisors is probably coming from two different camps. One, the hope is that the consumer drives that, right? That people truly are going to seek out that designation because they say, I want somebody that has that discipline, that's held to that standard, that has that education. But the other way it's going to happen, regulation in our industry is going to, I think, continue to push that, right?
Yeah.
It's going to say, just like it is in medicine, or just like it may be in other fields that are really truly supposed to be consumer based, it is your obligation. It's your, in our industry, it's your fiduciary standard to get paid to give advice, not to sell investments or to sell product.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a sad reflection on what we do, right? Our industry, that the fact that we have to say a bold prediction is in 10 years, all advisors should have to be working in your best interest is kind of ludicrous. But to your point, it's the way things are set up. You know, the changes, not only in just the way that consumers want advice, but also the way the industry itself is kind of evolving to get to this point where we believe it needs to be. It will absolutely happen. It's just a matter of how long is it going to take, and we hope that it's much sooner than later.
Yeah, and every time we have this conversation, I'm like careful to not. I certainly don't want to offend the way that things have been done. I don't want to call out anybody that does it differently than us. It is just, there are different pockets of this industry where you can go to the big wirehouse firms and you know you're going to get probably great investment management, but without a CFP focus on maybe some other things. To, you can go to the insurance world or the mutual company world where, again, there's all great intentions there. It just feels sometimes like it's a captive audience, or how they are compensated is through the sale of something. Yeah. And I see there continuing to be a greater shift towards the way that we have a business structured in the world that we live in, more of an independent space where you truly are just paid to give advice. And I think the consumer base and the regulatory environment is going to kind of push the growth in that area even more over the coming years.
Yeah, so that's bold prediction number 2, which is that we believe the commissionable side of this business, the being compensated to sell somebody a product, or for consumers to essentially pay commissions or transaction costs to get access to things, will be dead. We're hoping in 10 years. Like that will not be an option in 10 years, that you are truly paying for advice. If you are working with a professional, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, your options are, I'm guessing, will probably look very similar to the way that they are now, but we're saying that commissionable side really truly always and this, I think this is the way the industry has still been approached by consumers, is what's in it for them, right? When they're working with an advisor, how do they get paid? If I'm not paying you directly, it's always in the back of their head of, well, they're getting paid somehow, but it's not transparent.
Yeah, so I think that's the key thing. You know, a lot of the regulations that we have to follow are always trying to make sure that somebody qualifies for something, or you know, their financial profile means that they, you know, kind of suitability was the word I was really struggling to find there. Thank you.
Yep.
You know, regulation has gotten to that level, but it hasn't really gone so far as to hold everyone in the industry to a fiduciary standard where we literally have to put ourselves in their shoes and do what's in their best interest, which means how we get paid. I mean, I know we've used this analogy before. It just needs to be where every product that's out there is kind of on the same level playing field, where truly the only thing that should drive the decision-making process is what's best for them. And I do think, I don't even think it's bold. 10 years, commission-based business will be dead. It'll be dead. If the consumer doesn't force it before then, I do think regulations will get to that level.
Yeah. Yes. Agreed.
I'll go with a third that I think kind of does tie into that. I think as financial planning and the certified financial planning profession becomes more of not just an expectation, but the norm, it's probably increasingly likely that the firm that provides you with financial advice may also have the ability to branch out a little bit and do some accounting work for you. You know, do your tax return. They're probably partnered with a local attorney that can do some of the estate planning work. I think that one-stop shop for advice is probably going to become more popular. It's probably going to continue to grow.
Yeah, I obviously we talked about these in advance, but yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. We certainly get those questions from clients. If they don't have a dedicated tax preparer or CPA that they really like and trust, it's, do you guys do taxes? Do you have somebody you can refer us to? When are you going to start doing them? Like just that convenience side of things. We certainly position ourselves as kind of the epicenter of their financial life, right? Trying to coordinate all these different pieces. Whether they are working with professionals, we certainly can coordinate with them. But if they don't have them, and I agree, it is going this way, that is being able to go to one group or one business and be able to check off all of those boxes. And by the way, it probably is going to be a much more efficient process working with one team, coordinating all of those things, rather than I'm going to go here for piecemeal information. I'm going to go here for piecemeal information. And by the way, I'll come to you for my financial planning. And I'll just fill you in on what these other people have told me. Yes, that will definitely be the case at some point.
Yeah, and again, I think it's really coming from three different spots in my mind. The consumer may push for it, and that's probably because we see the trend that financial lives are not getting simpler. The complexities of what people have going on. People don't work in the same job for 30 years like they used to. Family dynamics change, relationships change. I think the complexities that would require, like making sure that everything is in one spot and like the left arm's talking to the right arm, we're just seeing more and more of that. So I think the consumer may push it. Again, if there is more growth in this independent advising space where people are certified financial planners with a more independent structure, then they may look to see to fill that gap where the industry could kind of approve more of that. And I think, again, regulations are probably getting into a spot where this separation of all these different professionals and your ability to kind of have things in one shop, I see all three of those things coming together to make that family office feel probably more predominant 10 years from now.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I'll throw out another one that kind of branches off of that. Several years ago, the introduction of robo-advisors, was very touted as, it's going to replace a lot of the advising force, right? People are just going to be able to go to a website, plug in some information, the algorithm's going to spit out what they need to do and how to invest, and boom, done. Piece of cake. Excuse me. That's not, we certainly don't believe that robots are going to replace us from that sense, because what we do from a financial planning perspective, I don't think can be replicated by a robot at this point. Maybe it's coming. I don't know. Elon Musk, work your magic behind the scenes, get some AI to think like a CFP. Maybe that's going to happen. But what I think will happen is that the technology side of things, the robo-advising components, will just augment what advisors are doing, what you and I are doing, to coincide with those expanded services, to be able to continue to bring not only just elevated advice, but elevated service, and being able to branch out into more areas and still have expertise in all of those aspects.
So many thoughts running through my head. Yeah. The robo platform to me is in a way bringing greater accessibility to investment advice, for sure. But again, what is that challenging? It's challenging this like wirehouse feel where, hey, these advisors are the only ones that have the information that I need to make good decisions. Algorithms are replacing that. That's where the robo advice is absolutely going to continue to grow. And maybe that's what the younger generation, right, that kind of wants to kind of do it on their own, but they have the support of some algorithms, right? The data crunching to support, encouraging a one move versus the other. But that algorithm cannot replace real life experiences, cannot replace the complexities of just human emotions and too much stuff to digest. Because, a lot of what we do is an art. And as much as we want to talk about it like a science, and our podcast sometimes does that, if this is your situation, here's the advice. Everybody's different. So I think what is going to vastly change, though, when it comes to technology, is the client experience, right? And we've maybe talked about this as a lot of financial planning can feel like we are Oz behind the curtain, right? We're taking all this information, and whether it's statistics or it's understanding the emotions of somebody. What is our
Mm-hmm.
job? It's to put the puzzle together. But I think technology has put us in a spot where that relationship really can be interactive. People can see cause and effect of certain things that they are doing. People can be educated through technology on what are some of the things that we're paying attention to, so that the whole client experience does feel like it's at their fingertips, or it's
Yeah.
supported in the office. And it's not just us saying, hey, you know what, trust us,
Yeah.
we did the work, trust us.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly treat our process very interactively, and yes, our prediction is that will continue to become the norm, and that it is more transparent. Like you said, it's not Oz behind the curtain. Trust us, we know what we're doing. Go execute these things. That it is much more working in concert than it is an advisor dictating, "Here's your to-do list. Go do it, and let me know when you're done."
Yeah, I think I liken that to, like, at this point, if you really want to, you can log on to your, medical provider's
Yeah.
website, and there's your medical file, right? In the same way, they have to take notes on why certain things were prescribed and what happens and what's
Mm-hmm.
going to happen next, and here are the medications and all of that. At this point, the regulations in our industry are certainly, they're getting there. I think if you're a true financial planner, you're doing it already, documenting your advice and why. I just think technology is going to bring that even more to the forefront, where it becomes easier for the advisor to do that. And the consumer should expect that,
Yeah.
that they are able to see, and to whatever degree they want to be educated, know why we're talking about the things that we're talking about. And it's not just, you're at a cocktail party. Hey, what does your advisor do for you? I don't know. I get a statement.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's going to become far less likely, 10 years from now.
Yeah. So even part of that conversation kind of leads us to, I think that's our last prediction, which is the increased focus on the human element, right? The behavioral finance side of financial planning and advice. Just taking in, and you kind of said it earlier, like real life experiences can't be replaced by advice from a robot.
Yeah.
And we certainly believe that even from the advisor base, that is still a very small component, or at least that doesn't seem like it's a very widespread component or a piece of what we do.
Yeah.
That will continue to grow over time.
Yeah. So this one is probably the hardest one to, like, say boldly. Like, 10 years from now, you should expect your financial professional to talk about behavioral finance. Just because I think we have a lot of, I guess I'll just use the words. I think we have a lot of dinosaurs in this in this industry that are
Yeah.
not going to evolve in a lot of the ways that we just discussed. And then this
Yeah.
one is probably, like, the hardest one to evolve on, because look,
Yeah.
think about a lot of the people that we work with. I think we are very blessed to now have deep relationships where maybe you've gone beyond just talking finances, but you kind of understand the family, you understand dynamics. But, like, we know that talking about money is not something that's comfortable for a lot of people. And then
Yeah.
talking about their emotions around it, or some of their biases, or
Mm-hmm.
some of the deep personal things going on in their life, like,
Yeah.
these are not comfortable things to talk about. So
Right.
not only is it, maybe the consumer base is going to have to get more used to being willing to have those conversations, because they see that it can only benefit the relationship by giving us more information to help them. But having advisors, like, comfortable taking that education, learning to be better communicating at this, issue recognition on this, that's not number crunching, like, it's just a whole different discipline.
Yeah.
But I certainly hope, and we promise to be at the forefront of this, like, I certainly hope it grows.
Yes. Agreed. 100%. Moving on.
I'll look, well, no, I'll stay I'll stay on this soapbox. I do think we're seeing it in the world. I think
Yeah.
it's becoming a little bit more okay. Maybe, the pandemic did a lot of horrible things to emotions and behavior. And my
Yeah.
gosh, here we are with world-class Olympic athletes that are
Hmm.
rightly so, okay, going, I don't know if I can do this, right?
Yeah.
I think people speaking out about it does give, hopefully, the yous and me's of the world the permission to go, you know what? I don't know how I feel about retiring. I don't know how I'm going to adjust to losing a spouse. I don't know how this is going to go losing a job. These are things that are going to be huge inputs into how they make huge financial decisions.
Yes.
And it should be okay for us to talk about that.
Yeah. And I think, often I think in the past, right, it's the evolution of our profession, right? In the past, where it used to be you had to come to an advisor just to get access to the investments. And then, the CFP program was created, and now it was, okay, we're going to give you some advice among many different areas. I think that continued evolution of just the role that financial planners can play, and you touched on it, right? Those big life transitions, or just the things that happen that are often negative.
Yeah.
The reality is, part of our job is to be a number cruncher behind the scenes, but then it's also, I don't want to say playing therapist, but it really is trying to understand where somebody is coming from, and then being able to pair whatever we think the right advice is, pairing those things together and being able to communicate that in a way that doesn't just fall on deaf ears. That is the art that is way separated from the science.
Yeah. And the CFP board, they took a huge step in announcing that starting next March, psychology of finances is now going to be one of their principal knowledge topics. It's coming. And I think that's why we say it's not too bold to say 10 years from now we'll make progress here. But I think it really does also come back to, this profession needs to continue to be more about depth of relationship, depth of communication, and truly giving personal advice. And a lot of that is going to be that calculator there on my desk is not going to be able to do that. It's not going to be important. So I think we'll get there.
Yeah.
And I hope, again, that people feel okay starting those conversations if they see it, because here's the way I view it to other advisors that may listen to this podcast. You can ignore it and just say, trust me, I know what I'm doing. I've had all this history. I've been through this before. Just do this. And you're really not helping that person feel any better about what's going on.
Yeah. Yep.
You can say, because you have biases, because you're emotionally not, aligned with the way that I would think about things, hit the road. That's not helping them either.
Yeah.
Or you can get a little education. You can be trained a little bit. You can change the way that you view this topic, behavioral finance, the psychology of finance, and be doing a better service to your clients. And I think that does tie into, if the CFP designation is moving that direction, and therefore those 90,000 advisors are moving that direction, and future CFPs are moving that direction, then I think the consumer base is going to see that, oh, this is something I can open up about. This is important to share. That in itself may move this whole prediction forward.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And hopefully 10 years is on the long end.
Yeah. We'll see.
Let's hope we can revisit these topics in less than 5 years and say, hey, great news. We were right, and not, well, we were way off. We're idiots.
Yeah. Well, I hope the theme in all of those predictions is better service, better advice to all the clients that are out there that deserve to have great financial advising relationships. And for those that we serve, we hope that's the case already. We'll commit to getting better. But I hope that's the major takeaway, that all these things truly move the profession forward for the good of the consumer.
Yeah. Well said.
All right.
Okay. We did it.
Thanks, man. 5
predictions.
I think it was
6. We're right.
Okay.
6.
I don't
Bonus.
know. Thanks, Adam.
All right.
Have a great weekend.
You too. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Adam and I really appreciate you tuning in. Please note that the opinions we voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be most appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, your accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to making any decisions or investing. Thanks for listening.